Hello, everybody. Good morning, and welcome to another Roblox Studio The Basics. We are working on a tow truck. Doesn't look like much. I know it doesn't look like this lovely one over here, but this is our tow truck. So, in the last two videos, which were very long, we added the code to turn this into an actual tow truck. Tow truck. If you recall, this is just the attachment that the loop is attached to. All right, so this big arm here is our winch. It's pretty much the only part, the only part that we made. Everything else was it was 2 hours of basically scripting. All right, so we can attach the winch. We can say in start. I'm gonna add 2 buttons to allow the winch to extend. Now I have the confidence now to be able to do that. I think that'll be all right. So that's our basic, very simple, very basic tow truck. All right. So now what we can do is we can move this anywhere we want. And now we can actually change the model design. So we can create a part, let's say, right? I don't know, we can scale it. Let's just say that's like a toolbox. Or it could be the bed for the, the tow truck, right? So we can start adding stuff, like I did to this one. Okay. The one thing we are going to need to do, as I said, when you pick up heavy things with, let's see, with this, it should compress. The suspension should compress. Let's see if it does it with this other truck here. We'll do that, and then we'll say in. Yeah, there you see how the truck is lifting up in the front there. Stop. Technically, that if we go in and we try and drive it, right? We turn it on. See, I can't quite steer because what it's doing is it's actually lifting up the front end of the truck. So this is what on the other tow truck, I ended up adding this like fifth wheel type thing, type contraption, whatever you want to call it. And here we're actually gonna make one. So we could take this, what is it here? This axle here, and then it should be R. This one here. All right, we can say move, right click, duplicate. Now what we're going to end up having to do, rename this one tire, right? And we're going to rename this one tire. And what we need to do is we need to actually weld them together. So copy them, group them so they're one model. Right? We don't weld it together when we press play. It's just going to fall apart. So we have to take the tire, and we're just going to weld everything to the, so let's go model, create, weld. Just weld it all to the tire. All right, let's create that. There. The rim parts. There. And there. And then the mesh. I don't think the mesh has to be welded. All right, so we're going to do the same thing for the other tire. Let's weld it together. And then what we'll need to do is we'll need to create a constraint, which is just a fancy word for making the wheels turn on their own. And I'll show you what I mean by that. All right, so if I hit play, we move the wheels. Right, if I hit play, we've changed the name of them, so a chassis won't recognize them as tires. Right, top surface is not a valid part of. That's basically what it's saying. Yeah, see, it broke the model by doing that. So what we have to do is we have to take this model that we just created and we have to drag it out of wheels and into the miscellaneous folder. Now, when we do that, right, into the miscellaneous folder, yeah, see, they just fall off. So they're not in any way attached to the vehicle. So now that's what we have to do is we need to attach these to the vehicle. So probably what I'll do is let's create a cylinder. This is going to be our axle. Yeah, it could be something like that, let's say. And we're going to go into view, where are we, properties, and make sure can collide is set to false. All right, model, scale. Scale it into here. Just kind of make it look like a truck axle. Okay, perfect. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take that part and we are going to drag it into the wheels, no, not the wheels folder, into our model folder. Here, let's rename the model to yeah, it does. I can't think of a name right now. It's too early in the morning. All right, so the entire model, and it's actually in the way of our button. Let's move this button right here. Move it right here in between these two. And I think that's also can't collide false. That way it doesn't collide with the tires. All right, so let's just, for now, let's move this up here so we can see it and we can work on it. All right. So we have our two tires, tire 1 and tire 2. And then what we need to do is we need to attach those tires to the shaft. So right here we can insert object. Let's create 2 attachments. Right click, insert object, attachment. Okay, and we're going to call this one rename A, and we're going to call this one B, rename B. B will go this way. And A will go this way. It's just easier to keep track of it. All right, now this tire here, what we're going to do is we're going to find, rim parts, right click. I was going to insert an attachment, but you know what I'm going to do, actually? I am going to show constraint details, and that will show us our attachments, and we're going to create a, what do I want? A cylindrical constraint. Yeah, that's what we want. Look, you got all these linear velocity, vector forces. Haven't gone through those yet, but I plan to. You're trying to make like an airplane or something like that. Right, so then we are going to have to do this a little differently. So in our rim parts, we're going to go right click, insert object. I'm going to insert an attachment. All right, and then from here, we're going to create to that attachment there. Then what we do is we take the position of this attachment, and we take this attachment, and we move it to the same position. There we go, just like that. Tire 1 is done, and now tire 2, we're going to do the same thing. Rim part, we're going to go right click, insert object, insert an attachment, and we're going to create a click on the attachment, and then click create the constraint, and then it'll allow you to do all of that. Then we're going to take this position. As you can see here, the orientation of this attachment is different, so we're going to have to move the orientation of the attachment. We'll have to rotate it. Rotate it that way. Okay, now in theory, let's just press play. That should drop down, but the 2 wheels should be attached to the shaft. The shaft isn't attached to anything, but the 2 wheels should be attached to the shaft. And they are. Look at that. They're attached to the shaft, except they move in and out. So now what we need to do is we need to edit the properties of the cylindrical constraints, and then I say angular limits enabled. Let's see. On the slider, upper limit is going to be 0. So let's see if that is right. Let's see if that's right. And then same with this one here. Cylindrical constraint. Slider, limits enabled. 0. Now if I press play, hopefully, the wheels shouldn't slide. There we go. See, now everything is together. That is one part. We've now created an axle. Look at that. We've created an axle. Neat, huh? And it moves around. It's got the 2 wheels on it. Except it seems like, yeah. Both wheels should move. All right. So now that we've done that, what we want to do is we want to attach this part to the body. To this body. So what we're going to do is we're going to right click on the body. We're going to go insert object. Same thing, an attachment. It'd be nice if I can insert objects. Attachment. All right. And we are going to rename this to arm, let's say. And this just way we can keep track of all of our attachments. We're going to move that. Okay. We're going to click on the shaft. We're going to right click. We're going to insert object. We're going to insert another attachment. All right, this one here. We're going to rename that one arm B. And then that way when if you're having troubles, right, connect A to B. Really simple. And then for this one here, we're going to want a prismatic. And a prismatic is just a fancy word for like elevator, really. So we're going to take this one here. We're going to go copy its position. And then we're going to need to rotate it. Okay, and then we're going to need to rotate it that way. Which, yes, it's going to have to do the same thing. All right, there we go. Okay, so the attachments are in alignment. Now we want to click on the prismatic constraint. And we want to say limits enabled. And then this little green line pops up. And it's going to show you where it's moving. Currently, the upper limit is 5. So if we set the upper limit to 0, so we don't want it to move any higher than it is, but we want it to go down, we could set the upper limit to, let's say, -5. See how it drops down? So we don't want that. We can say upper limit 0. We can say lower limit -3. That might be a bit much. Let's try -2. And then we want the actuator type to be a motor. And then we want to make sure that the motor force is infinite. And for now, we'll just change the velocity to 1. So we go 1 and -1. 1 will bring it down. -1 should make it come back up. And that'll be an easy way for us to script it. Nothing happened. Well, it spins. That other tire's spinning pretty fast. Yeah, they seem to be wobbly, huh? Yeah, something's going on here. I think this is colliding with... All right, so back to our elevator, our prismatic constraint here. It actually did move. Let's try try that. Velocity -1. Oh, see, it went up. Did you see that? It moved higher. So I've got that backwards. So lower limit, we'll say 2. Is that right? I don't see that it wants to move up. Velocity -1. Alright. So that should still be... Yeah, there. Did you see it move down? 2? So we actually have to change that number from where it is. Because it's moving, the prismatic is moving from here instead of up here where the shaft is, because we've moved it down so far. So I might have to actually change that to like, let's try -5. Let's see. That's my fault. I misaligned the our elevator. Here, see, it's coming down slowly. Now, I don't know why. Restitution. Let's change that to 0. That's how bouncy it is. Lower limit. Upper limit. What if we change that to -5? Oh no, that's not going to work. Take limits enabled off. Let's see. Servo is probably not going to work. Let's try that. We're just going to change it to target position. What do we say? -4? Yeah, there we go. Let's see if this is going to work. Seems to be having troubles. Speed is 0. That's probably why. Speed 1 is not a... Alright, having troubles here. This morning with this constraint. Seriously, this is ridiculous. It should just move down. Current position 0. Lower limit -4. Let's try that. No, it doesn't seem to want to move. Target position. What's going on with this today? I don't know. This tow truck build, I'm telling you. Oh, it went up. It went up instead of down. So maybe I have this turned upside down. Let's see here. Let's rotate the attachments. Nada. Oh boy. So it should be lower. See, they're both the same. 4 and 4. Something's going on here. Should move. Let's go target position. 10. No, it doesn't like that at all. Alright, well, let's just go in the opposite way. So it prefers it to be a motor. And instead of 4, let's try -4. Let's see if we can get it to go down. No, it continues to want to go up. Let's see, -4. Let's try that. Hey, it went down. Look at that. It's on the ground. All right. Okay, engine on. Okay, put it in gear. And we can drive. Now, this doesn't have a... What am I trying to say? It doesn't have a suspension on it. Suspension. So if we attach this, right, you see how it went up? I know it's still lifted up the front of the vehicle, and that's because the axle is where it is, but you see how these rear axles compressed and this axle did not compress? So now what we can do is we can take this whole model, this whole thing, and we can actually move it. We can move it wherever we want. I'm just going to put it there for now. Let's take this attachment. All right. Now this here, this should be, right? You see, this attachment here needs to be up here in alignment with, see what that does. Is that this attachment here? That'll be this attachment S. Which should be this one here. Oh boy, really? I want to move the attachment. Not the actual part. No, it's not. It doesn't want to move. Oh, the attachment is down there. Also, what is this? Must be the details. Make it straight. Oh, what a mess. What a mess this is turning out to be. I'm really sorry. This was supposed to be a lot easier than it is turning out to be, and I don't know why it's given me such a hard time this morning. I don't know. I don't know why. I didn't have a hard time making the other one. Everything seemed to work, so sometimes that's just the way it goes, right? See, so it went up. It went up, so we have to change that to -4. Oh boy, and then we have to change our upper limit from 0 to -4, right? Because it's trying to rest at 0. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So now that we've got that figured out, let's start the engine. So we just put it in gear. Why? I don't know. Okay, and then what we're going to do is I'll show you the, let's attach this here. And insert. All right, there, you see? It's still lifted up, but it didn't lift up as much. And I'll just, by way of example, remember we couldn't steer at all the last time. And now, we were able to steer. Yeah, a little bit. So what we need to do is, it looks like we can bring that axle down a little bit more. You know, that's one thing we can do. We can add a dual axle, so it's got two of those for carrying vehicles. But essentially that is what you're going to need to do in order to make this work, right? Because all these vehicles have suspensions, and when you put heavy stuff on the suspensions, it makes these suspensions compress. So this is how we get over suspension compression. So let's go over what we did. We duplicated this rear wheel, right? And then we had to weld all the parts together. We had to weld all the parts of the wheel together so they don't fall apart. And then we had to basically turn that into our own model. Then we added the prismatic constraint, which is not working for whatever reasons. Probably have to rotate it. It works. It's a mess, but it works, right? And we added the prismatic constraint, okay? Then what we did is we turned the actuator type to a motor, which allows it, gives the prismatic movement. Essentially think of it like an elevator, it gives the elevator movement. Then what we did is we limited where it can move to. And we said it can move down, but it can't move up. And that's pretty much it. That is our tow truck. Now essentially at this point in time it's all cosmetics, right? You can add the box, you can add decals, you can go over it, you can change the body around. And yeah, change the arm, right? This arm here you can move. Okay, so one other thing we can do, you know, that really bothers me, but anyways, the constraint will move to there and then it'll stop moving. So the other thing we can do is we can add more length to the arm, let's say, so we can add another block. Okay, we can add another constraint which will allow this to extend out. If that's what you, if that's right, essentially what we would do is we would just duplicate that and we would rename it to second, and we just get rid of all these attachments, get rid of the weld constraint because we don't want it to be welded, right? We can change the color to yellow and scale it just for, you can see what we're, right, we'll do that, and then that way it's smaller. And then essentially you do the same thing. So you create a prismatic. We can go from there to there, let's say. And we'll take this one here. And we are going to rotate it. Actually, let's get rid of this prismatic. And let's delete that, and let's delete that. I'll show you a better way. Rather than working with this on an angle, it's a lot easier to get it working this way first. And then rotate it whichever direction you want. All right, that'll work. Okay, so now let's create a prismatic. Let's see, between here and here, let's say. Okay, so then what we want is we will take this Doesn't matter, the attachments just have to be together, so we'll take that attachment coordinates. And we will take this one and put it there. Okay, and then what we need to do is we need to rotate it this way because we want the prismatic constraint to go up and down this way, not this way. All right. Then we can do, it should be a lot easier than what we had there because we're going in a positive direction, not a negative direction. So we can say motor. And what we want to do is I always change the force, right? And some things that I'll do, I'll click on the part and I'll make them massless, which is something else we want to do. We can say that can't collide falls, massless. All right. When all the parts are together and they're part of the same model, when a chassis initializes and it scales the model, it'll scale everything, the weight of all the parts. But if you start adding parts onto it, make them massless, it's easier. Probably why this axle wasn't working the way that we wanted it to. And then second, this one here will go can't collide falls. All right, so now we have our prismatic constraint. And what we're going to do is motor, and then we always say limit enabled. Lower is going to be 0. Excuse me. And upper is 5. All right. And then let's just change the velocity to 2. And when I press play, that yellow. Yeah, there, look, it's going up. Neato, huh? So let's set upper limit to 10. There, see, it slowly goes out to 10. So now, right, that's part of it. Then what we can also do is we can add, right now this is not in there, so what we can do is we can move this. Just remember when you move it, look what we've changed. The attachment also moves, so then you have to take the position and make sure that they're snapped together, and then we can press play. And there we go, look at that. All these things we can script now. With this, we can create a separate one, a separate UI just for towing. Click on it, and we can make the arm go in and out. We can make this fifth wheel, whatever, go up and down, and we can pivot. We can make this arm pivot, and it's the same thing. All you're doing is we would create a cylindrical constraint similar to what we did with the wheels, and we would limits enabled as a motor, and then we can just tell it to move one way or the other. Real basic. So yeah, that's that'll pretty much do it for our tow truck. So let's recap the recap. So what did we do? We copied an axle, and we turned that axle into its own part, and then what we had to do is we had to weld that part together, and then we had to attach the tires. So we created a shaft, we attached the tires to the shaft, and that allowed us to create this axle without a suspension, right? Then we added this prismatic constraint, which I don't know, I'll have to figure out. And what we did is basically an elevator. We turned it into an elevator, and we said, okay, we want you to move down, and we want you to be able to move up. All right, and then we modified our tow arm, and we did the exact same thing. So now what we can do, remember I was saying, so we can take these two, and we can rotate them. And we can move them, so long as they move together. Let's say we can even do that. Just to show you that it doesn't matter. It can be on an angle, and now it's extending. But then what we would need to do is we would need to change the winch location, because right now the winch is here. We'd have to change the winch location to here, which is easy. Edit the code, right? Tell it to reference second instead of winch, and then just add the rope constraint in there and our blank attachment, so that way we have the attachment. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That is a tow truck. That is one type of tow truck. Yeah. So in the next set of videos, we are going to be creating we're going to make a tow truck with a bed. The bed is going to come down. We'll be able to weld the vehicle to the bed. The bed will retract. Probably going to need a fifth wheel on that too. I'm not sure, but we'll go over that. We will go over the code again as well. We'll rewrite the code for our new tow truck. And then that way it's there, it's fresh. We'll have gone over it twice. And if you have any questions, just put them in the comments, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for watching this video, and have yourselves a wonderful day.